Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Emily Hastings and I'm a guitar player. And I'm finally getting to the question and answer that I promised you guys like a few months ago, maybe a month ago. Time is running together. I'm just gonna get to the questions. Thanks so much for watching. Grab your Java and let's do this. So the Metal Mag, they asked me, have you got an album with your own compositions? You seem to play covers like you know them to the exact note. How long does it take you to learn a song? I love this question, and yes, I'm working on an album. It's taking forever. I feel like every year I say I'm working on an album and it never gets finished. I really hope that this year will be the year, but I don't know if it will be. I have a lot of things that I've written, but I want to mix it and master it very well. So yes, I am working on an album, and if you want to know more about that, you can join my Patreon page because there's a section just dedicated to me working on my album. Okay, I had to change the position of the camera because my eyes are just glowing orbs from this light here. But yeah, it's a great question. The second part of the question is, you seem to play covers like you know them to the exact note. How long does it take you to learn a song? Honestly, it depends on the song. If I'm doing something that comes naturally to me, then it might take a few days, a week. Unless it's a time crunch, then I'll have to learn it that day. If it's Randy Rhoads solo, for example, that can take me up to a month, like especially if it's an entire song. Yeah, so it just does really depend on the song, the difficulty level, and that kind of thing. So, great questions. Dean Ball, no questions, just want to say that you were awesome and a beautiful guitar player with a gift not many get in life. Thank you so much, that's really kind. I don't really see myself as having a gift, just a lot of hard work. I don't think guitar really comes naturally to me. It does for some people. I really do think that some people have an actual gift. I don't think I have a gift. I just work really hard. But thank you anyway. Rematos Enoma, hi, you are kind based on the sound of your notes. One question for you, what makes you feel happy? Wow, happiness. So happiness to me is being around the people that I love and trust. And also, I'm kind of introverted, so I do spend time alone, and that actually allows me to get my thoughts together, and walks, nature, things like that. Good movies, coffee, and guitars. Yeah, those things make me really happy. So, Randy Tritt, where did you learn to play the guitar fiddle? Hope you have a rockin' week. Thank you so much, Randy. So he wants to know where did I learn? So I'll go back a few years. I have music in my family. My mom was in a band, and so it's just always been part of me. And I picked up the guitar one day. She had an old Lotus acoustic. It's the first guitar I ever played on. And I picked up that guitar and I never stopped playing. There were times in my life where I took breaks, really long breaks, which did not make me feel happy, but I didn't have time to play, so I took long breaks. But yeah, that was a pivotal moment in my life. I always talk about that moment where I picked up that acoustic guitar and changed my life, you know, made me want to be a guitarist. Marcelo Torres Heim. Hi dear, hope you're okay. A live stream contact every now and then would be nice, or whatever you decide to do. Thanks for the playing. Thank you so much. I actually prefer to do this. I will be doing live streams on my Patreon, but I feel super awkward, so I'm just gonna reserve those for a small audience on my Patreon. And if you want to join, I'd be happy to have you there. Let's see. Christopher Pomrensky. Hi Emily, I would love to see more Q&A videos. Can you play a song by the Canadian rock band Triumph or April Wine? These were my faves during the 70s and 80s. Thank you so much. I can definitely try to do that. I have a super long list of songs. Those are not on my song list yet, but I'll have to look them over and see if it's something I I'm capable of doing, or something that, you know, that I feel like doing, and I'll let you know. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Jim Wilson, keep doing what you're doing. It's nice that you're considering your fans' input. Do a question and answer video with the information you can find. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate that you appreciate what I do. William Kirkland. Hi, Emily, will you be touring anytime in 2021 in the USA? I mean, that really depends on the state of the USA in terms of the pandemic and live gigs. As far as I know, live gigs are not going on here. Yeah, with the vaccines, hopefully some things will be changing, you know, like in terms of what people are capable of doing and the amount of people who can gather together. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. The House of Ronin. Hi Emily, I'd love to get more live stream music and question and A session. Can you play anything from Clapton or More Than Words or Get the Funk Out by Extreme? Those are great suggestions, and I actually have like some Clapton on my song list, my to-do list, so thanks for reminding me. And then you mentioned Hendrix and SRV. Yes, that is on my list as well. I really want to do it, but I was working on some Hendrix like a month ago, and I just didn't feel motivated to keep doing it because the more I listened, the worse I felt as a guitarist. So I'll have to get back into it. And then you said maybe you would like to play some Stones, which are all, you mentioned Give Me Shelter, Paint It Black. Angie, I love the Stones, so those are awesome suggestions as well. I would love to hear you play Welcome Home by Coheed or Cambria. Lastly, I would love to hear you play Sleeping Dogs by Zakk Wylde. I actually did a Sleeping Dogs entry to a Zakk Wylde contest a few years back, so I have that on YouTube if you want to check it out. Thank you so much for all the suggestions. That was really awesome. Thank you so much. Juan Cubera, what kind of strings do you use for your Gibson Little Rainbow? So typically I use Diodario 10s for my Little Rainbow for my Gibson, which is back there. I use different strings for different guitars. I am a fan of Pitbull strings as well. Want to give them a shout out. They sent me some strings and I love them. I use Diodarios, I use Ernie Ball, and I'm happy with all of them. Great brands of strings. So you guys can check out any of those and let me know which ones you prefer. On my Wild Audio Odin Grail here, I use 9s and works really well for that particular guitar. Shredding. The Jackson as well, I use 9s. But on the rest of the guitars, I use 10s, except for the Fender. All of the rest of them are 10s. So that's a great question. My question is, should a musician actually count at all times? Or if your feel is good enough, just play on an inner timing? So I struggled a lot with this when I played classical guitar. It was very much an emphasis on counting in your head and counting with your foot. And I always relied previously to my inner timing, but I think that there's a benefit of both worlds. I think it's good to get in that habit of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like if you find out the time signature of the song and then you count in your head so that you can improve your timing, because it's something that I myself have struggled with, timing issues. I'm either like, you know, speeding up when you get excited, or you're lay behind the beat seems to actually work better for most people, I've found. But that's a great question. What I do now mostly is I rely on my inner timing because I've been playing guitar for a while. So that's just what I do now. But in the past, I definitely tried to think about with a time signature, like a 2/4 signature, 4/4 signature. That's a really great question. And I think that it really just depends on how much you've been playing. When you're recording in a studio, you definitely need to make your timing perfect, because over time, if timing is an issue on a recording, that's going to drive you crazy. You know, that you're always going to wish that you had made it more perfect. So that's my spiel on that. Johnny Wonka, nice playing. I just would like to know if you have any ideas on any really good backing tracks that you could use or where I could get them. I will send a link below. There's like a backing track guitar backing tracks website that's pretty good. I have made backing tracks myself, but yeah, that's a really good backing track website, and I will leave a link in the description. Trucker Kev, the paid tourist. What's one of your favorite music stores near where you live? Guitar Center. It's one of my favorite music stores. And of course, Sweetwater. Do you have a favorite mom and pop place that you like? There is a favorite mom and pop place that I like in my local area. Yeah, they just have a lot of great selections of instruments. There are several of those, but I do really like Guitar Center and Sweetwater as well. Next question is from David Gonzalez. Do you prefer active or passive pickups, and why? I've never been someone who I'm a die-hard active pickups or I'm a die-hard passive pickups. I love EMG pickups and they're active, and I don't have a problem with unplugging my guitar. It's not a problem, I don't forget. It's a slight pain to have to change the battery, but it just goes with the territory. It's like changing strings, I don't think anyone says, oh, I can't wait to change my strings today. Nobody's gonna say that unless you're a string freak. But yeah, so I can go either way. Doesn't really matter. Do you prefer tuning with 44 Hertz, 432, or 428 Hertz? This does not really matter to me. I just put on a tuner and start tuning my guitar. I'm sorry, I think I have used more frequently 440 Hertz, but otherwise it doesn't really make a difference. The House of Ronin. So just a few quick questions for your Q&A. I think he already asked me some, but he must have added some more, and I appreciate that. It's great. Bring on the questions. What do you prefer, small intimate venues or larger stages? So this is gonna sound weird because I get nervous with live streams and I don't know why. Small intimate venues or larger stages? Larger. Yeah, I get more nervous in smaller settings because it's so intimate, and I will use an example. So I used to do a lot of classical guitar, and when I'm in a small room, the room held about at the most 40 people. But in these settings, I would get really nervous because I could see the people and see their expressions, and I prefer to be on a stage where the lights are blinding me and I can't see anyone. I feel so much more comfortable because I start to get nervous, and it's something, I don't know if you guys have stage fright. I have had it before and it's awful. And then you wanted to know what gauge of picks do you prefer? So I like medium hard picks. And then you wanted to know, when playing acoustics, do you prefer nylon or steel strings? Since I do most of my recordings directly plugged into my computer, I prefer to use steel strings, but I love the sound of a nylon guitar. However, I have a little difficulties with miking and all of that, so I end up using steel strings a lot of times when I would rather use nylon, but I love them both. Have you ever toured Canada? No. I know you like the outdoors. What's your favorite time of the day, season to walk the woods? So I'm a morning person. I have had times where I'm being super creative and I stay up late, but that's kind of more rare, unless I'm super creative and I'm composing something, coming up with something cool, then I'll stay up late. But I tend to like the mornings the best, probably because, coffee. And then you said, anyway, just some ideas. You make great content, Emily, and thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, Johnny Piston. You can have any single electric from history, but the catch is you have to play it regularly, not preserve it in a case. What do you choose? So there was a guitar, there was a Gibson, and it was like a custom model, and I think it was called a Gibson Darkness guitar. It was so beautiful, and that's the one I would want. It was just absolutely beautiful. It was like the polar opposite of my Starburst Gibson Les Paul custom that I used. It was like a dark version, like a instead of a daytime, it was a nighttime, and it was beautiful, and that's what I would want. I would want that guitar. Do you like quiz games? This is a question from Mike. depends. I'm not really a board games person, but if I guess it just depends on the type of game. Next question. Please do a live stream. Terry McPhee is asking for one. I will be doing more of those on Patreon. If you guys really, really want it, I might make an exception, but it won't be something that I do a lot just because I am a weirdo and I don't really like them. My question is, why do you think the aesthetic is as important as the talent of the musician? I think that's been happening for a while, sadly. In music, I think music's been undergoing that transition, honestly, since the 70s, very slowly. In the 80s, the image became in some ways more important even than the artist. Not saying that people weren't talented, but I think that the image really has played a role, and now it's considerably more than it ever was. I just think that with social media too, your image does become tied with who you are and what you produce. So it's kind of a sad fact of life that when you sell your music, you're selling yourself. So it's just intertwined together, you know, your image and the music. So it's just part and parcel. David Padilla, do you have a store and where can I see some of the do you have a store and where can I find it? So I'm gonna leave a link below of my shirts and some mugs and things like that. I do need to get my music on iTunes and Spotify and things like that, but I have to finish my CD first. I do have some songs on YouTube, so I will leave links to those as well. And then David Sims, he said, I heard your D tribute, I loved it. It made me like you. When did you discover Randy Rhoads? Zach, I heard Randy and had to play. Never felt that way about another player. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Zach and Randy are two of my greatest influences. When I really started getting into guitar, I was learning Crazy Train and, you know, wanting to play like Zach as well, like wanting to master pinched harmonics and just play super aggressively because that's what Zach does. And as for Randy, just crazy. He's like, it's insane how talented he truly was. And so when did I discover them? Like not long into my guitar journey. They were two foundational icons in my guitar playing journey. And after that transition, David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, but yeah, in the very beginning, they were my influences, Zach and Randy Rhoads. John Paul Tracy, when did you start playing and what song or artist made you want to? So it's kind of building on the last question, but I did start playing, my mom gave me my first electric guitar around the age of 17. I actually started getting into it because before then I was playing mostly acoustic, and so wow, I was playing like crazy, trying to, you know, play like my idols. When did you start playing and what? So I always heard the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Journey, just 80s bands, 70s, 60s bands in my house because my mom was a huge fan of all of those bands. So it just became part of me and who I listened to. And as I mentioned before, my greatest influences in guitar: Zakk Wylde, Randy Rhoads, David Gilmour, Eric Clapton, Nancy Wilson, Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, the list goes on and on. I always leave someone out, but those were some of my top influences, and they all made me want to get better. Just made me want to keep climbing and climbing and climbing up to play, you know, play well. Pat Care, speaking about legato, because I'm bad, so you want me to speak about legato. I'm actually going to be doing some more lessons. I won't be playing in this vlog because it's just a vlog answering you all's questions, but I can do a legato lesson if you would like. And that's good that you give suggestions because I want to do some more lessons this year. Leroy Lopez, hi Emily, love your videos. Can you make a video of you playing Van Halen's Pretty Woman? I could try, that's a great suggestion. Jerry Asgard, hi Emily. Jerry from Sweden, you are amazing. I'm a true Pink Floyd fan and I love yourselves. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you love my rendition of Pink Floyd and the great David Gilmour. It means a lot to me. Those are the ends of the questions. You guys asked some really awesome ones and I had fun answering them. I'm going to be doing more lessons this year. Please leave me comments below about what kind of lessons you want me to do and what kind of covers you want me to do. Also, don't forget to subscribe because it does help out my channel and it motivates me to keep doing this and to keep, you know, working on videos and things like that, especially in the crazy times that we've been living. It really does help me out. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. I'm gonna get working on my next cover. If you want exclusive content, make sure to join me on Patreon, and I will see you guys later. Bye.